Hello, everybody. It's Sandra from Inspired Keys, and today I am on to teach a few more topics on worship keys, and particularly I'm going to answer a Inspired Keys Academy members question. And today's question comes from Gabriel. But before I read the question, I do want to let everybody know that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Melbourne time, and it will be Tuesday the 12th of June, I will be teaching about the very basic main stage course. So if you're interested to learn about main stage and you feel like that's just something really difficult for you can't really get around to it, do join us tomorrow morning. And also, if you happen to be watching us live and you have a worship keys question, do pop it in the chat box on the right, because I will be recording a couple of videos. And so if you happen to be on and you have some questions, do ask it on the right. Also, be sure to type in your name and the country that you're watching from, because I would love to give you a shout out if you type into the chat. And hey, Jay, it's you again. Hello from, Jay says, greetings from India. Always. It's great to see you, Jay. So type your questions in there. Don't wait if you have any. But today I will be going on to teach and answer Gabriel's question. So Gabriel Lee from Inspired Keys Academy, he says he's looking to understand how chords and scales complement with each other. How chords and scales complement with each other. Okay, so let's see. First up, you do need to understand that chords and scales, when things complement with each other in music in general, it's because they match. Okay, so I'm going to now share my screen. Let's see how we do this. Share screen. Yep. Okay, you should be able to see my screen right now. Great. So I hope you can hear the piano as well. Let me know if you can hear the audio well. So in general, things will match and complement each other if the melody or the scale, usually played on the right hand, matches the chord that is on the left hand. So like if I have a C major chord, then it's going to match with any scale on the right hand if it passes through the C, E, and G notes. So like the major scale is going to work quite well. Maybe even the, because that's like a natural minor, and that's just an A minor with no sharpened 7. And that's going to work well as well, because you still have the C, E, and G. It probably won't match so well if it was an A harmonic minor, which is... Yeah, no, that's not going to work so nicely, because as you can hear, you've got a G sharp on the right hand, and then you've got a G on the left hand, so that's going to clash. So we don't really want that. So Gabriel, and for all of you watching, in general, try to make your right hand and left hand notes match as much as possible, and that in general will cause a nice sound. So things are really simple when it comes to worship music. The thing is, worship music can't be too difficult, because they're usually intended to be easy enough for the general public to be able to learn quickly and sing along. And of course, it's a great help if you are a volunteer and you don't have a ton of music background and you just want to be able to learn a song quickly and play. And the basic chords of worship music will usually be chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you probably won't have a chord 7, because that would be like a diminished chord. And out of the 6 basic chords that I just played, the 3 major and the 3 minor chords. The 3 major chords are 1, 4, 5, and the 3 minor chords are 2, 3, and 6. Okay. Now, what you do realize is when I play everything in the context of C major, pretty much all the notes are white, right? So there is really hardly any black note. And what that tells us is that basically there are 2 scales that work really well with these basic chords typically used in worship. They are the major scale, which is, right? right? And major scales are typically defined as, and so that space distance is called a tone. It's usually a tone, a semitone, tone, 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 and semitone. Okay, so it's like I'm just trying to measure the distance between the notes when it comes to a major scale. And so you do get a tone, tone, semitone, and then tone, 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 and semitone again. Okay, so that's what defines a major scale. And if you want to learn more about major scales, especially if it's about how to play them in all 12 keys, what fingerings to use, I have an entire course on mastering the major scales inside the Inspired Keys Academy. So you do want to check that out at inspiredkeys.com/join. Now, in the meantime, a great scale to use will be the major scale whenever you use play worship keys. So like in general, of course, I'm not just going to play like a scale like, you know, that's not going to sound fantastic when it comes to making up a improvised riff or motif when you play the chords of like worship keys, right? You probably won't want to do like, that was just kind of, you know, being very like textbook, right? Oh, I must do a strict major, like C major scale going up and down the scale. That's not going to be very musical. But I do want to illustrate the point that basically a major scale will work great when it comes to worship chords. Okay, so Gabriel, if you're asking this question because you want to invent some riffs and improvise melodies and create some new counter melodies on the fly, the major scale is a great scale to use. And so guys, the second awesome scale to use, and this is the only other scale that I will recommend, is the pentatonic scale. So to simplify things, the pentatonic scale can easily be found with all the black notes. So if you were to play through all the black notes, you get, right? It's got that really, I call it like Chinese culture kind of feel to it, right? But believe it or not, it's also really gospel. It's also really like some hymns like Amazing Grace are completely built out of the pentatonic scale. So for example, right? So that's like an entire what do you call that? Entire verse. That's right. Entire verse of Amazing Grace, completely played out of the pentatonic scale. And what you can also do is use a pentatonic scale. Now, of course, you won't want to use it in terms of all black keys. The all black keys thing is just an easy way for us to sort of play the pentatonic scale. However, it is in the key of F sharp. So the equivalent of the pentatonic scale in C major is actually, just remember, is the 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3, right? So if that was the pentatonic scale of F sharp major, then the pentatonic scale of C major would be 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3. And that would be the pentatonic scale. And it's got a really Chinese kind of effect, but maybe I'll just play a little bit to demonstrate how nicely the pentatonic scale can work when you want to improvise something in a typical worship song. So assuming we've got the most typical kind of like chord progression for worship, we've got like a chord 1, and then you've got like a 4, and then an A minor, and then a G. Something like that. Okay, so I'm just going to restrict my right hand to playing notes from the pentatonic scale like, right? So I'm like intentionally avoiding Fs, avoiding Bs, and that all sounds really good. So basically today, my takeaway for all of you is remember the two main scales that work really good with chords typically used in worship keys will be the major scale and the pentatonic scale. And maybe just for fun, I'm just gonna try to make up something with the major scale on my right hand this time so that we could just have a go at and compare between the sounds of the major versus the pentatonic scale if I would just create something on my right hand using the major scale. So assuming those same 4 chords. Okay, so I'm just gonna come and create some stuff on my right hand. Yep, so basically I was just kind of making up some stuff using, I told myself I'm only going to use all the white notes, of course, no black notes, and it is probably going to sound very good. I guess what makes a really good tune is just the whole being able to just try and practice it more and practice it enough to the point where you're able to just carve out beautiful melodies that kind of have a nice phrase to it. And of course, watch my video on the secret to beautiful melodic phrases. But I have an entire course about that as well to make your playing sound good. Like, you know, instead of playing it like, you know, where every note is kind of banging, there is a secret that I do with the phrases to make it sound like. Yeah, I'm actually using a very, very subtle but important technique in my melodic phrases to make them sound very, very tuneful and very, very pleasant to listen to. So go check out that course. It's called The X Factor to Beautiful Melodic Phrases. And that whole course is also available inside the Inspired Keys Academy. To check out the Academy, be sure to check out inspiredkeys.com/join. And so I'm just gonna yeah, I just want to look through the notes that I meant for today. Yes, I do want to conclude that to conclude today's teaching, basically do watch the Ultimate Voicings video. And that would be the, you can find that at inspiredkeys.com/awesome, AWESOME. I'm just going to type that into the chat box for those of you who are watching, inspiredkeys.com/awesome. And you will be able to learn even more about what kind of scales go well with what kind of chord structures, and therefore what scales complement well with what chords. So Gabriel, thank you so much for asking that question. I really hope it helped. And do pop a message inside our members only Facebook group to let me know if this video helped you. I'm just going to look quickly at Jay's question. Would you prefer main stage or Ableton? I'm really confused. Okay, so Jay, to answer your question, I classify myself as a bit of a technophobe because I am also really confused when it comes to tech stuff, but I have had a go at Mainstage and never had a go at Ableton. I guess it's really about exposure and whether you have someone whom you can ask, and also whether you have your chance to lay your hands on any of the software and have a go at trying them out. So I will say, give it a go if you have a chance to try any of these softwares. But because at this point I've only played around with Mainstage and I personally own Mainstage, I've also used Mainstage to play in worship services, I will prefer Mainstage. But I've also heard, and I know that Ableton is an extremely powerful software that can control beyond just music side of things, but also like even lyrics and backing tracks and PowerPoint slides and stuff. So apparently Ableton's this incredible software, and I know tons of churches are using it. It's just that I don't have experience with it yet. So Jay, I can't really comment on Ableton, but I know it's awesome, and I wish and I hope one day when I get my hands on it, I will also be sharing it with you guys here on the Inspired Keyboardist YouTube channel and also inside the Inspired Keys Academy. So before I go, guys, I do want to highlight to you guys about how inside the Inspired Keys Academy, if you want to learn how to recognize chords, I do have an entire course series called how to, it's the 100 chord progression, 100 chord progression identification exercises. So I'm just going to look at it right now. It's actually inspiredkeys.com/100, which is /100. And you can only access this page if you are an Inspired Keys Academy member. But basically, I just want to show you guys and share the screen right now. If you are playing worship keys and you can't really recognize chords by ear, so, you know, typically you get really lost when your worship leader goes into some free worship moment that you guys never really practiced, then I really want to introduce you guys to trying to learn to recognize chords. And just like we can recognize our friends' voices, we can also recognize chords, and each chord has its own flavor. So in the Academy, you can unlock, as a member, you can unlock this entire course. Basically, you could access the progression worksheets and answers, and I give step-by-step videos on how to recognize chords. And then I go ahead to break these 100 chords into different exercises in progressively difficult order. So first up, my chords are only in major chords, and then I start to venture out from root position into any shape, not just triad shapes. And then I go on into different positions. I go on into major chords with melody. I go on into major chords, but with one particular minor chord, like chord 2, and then I start to add chords 2 and 3, and then I start to add chord 6, and finally, the last 20 chord progressions are a mix of all 6 major and minor chords in any key, but also with melody in them. So you do get a chance to really, really work through lots of chord progressions, and by the end of the 100 chord progressions, you should have a clearer idea of how different chord progressions sound. I also want to introduce you guys, show you guys like a little tour and give you a little tour of how by joining the Inspired Keys Academy, you can get access to our members only Facebook group, and that's how it looks. Basically, you will be given permission to type anything and post any question you have in our Facebook group, and you could get priority with the way with your questions. So if you ask a question, the Academy members and especially myself will be very quickly answering your question, either in the form of something like today's video where I answer Gabriel's question, or by typing it in here. We've got members who share about how their session went over the weekend. So today it is Monday as I record this, and you will see that some people have shared. Nathan has shared about what went on with his church, and then also you get first heads up with announcements on latest courses that I've created, and people also share recordings. And there we go. Jennifer just shared a recording on Google Drive on how she played a certain song. In this case, it was Holy Spirit by Jesus Culture. And this is a place to get constructive feedback on how you play. And basically, it's a great place to encourage each other and to help us get better in our worship keys playing. So it's awesome because you can access all the courses, including the 100 chord progression exercises. And you also get to ask questions and help each other, and also to learn from one another, or even to get feedback from your playing. So the Inspired Keys Academy is set up to be a place where you can really master worship keys, scales, and techniques quickly so that you can serve God confidently and skillfully. So I really, really would like to invite you into the Academy, and there is a limited time discount code right now. If you go into inspiredkeys.com/join, and all the information's in the description box below, and you use the discount code $trial, you can access and explore the Academy for 2 whole weeks for just $1. And this could be the best $1 you've ever spent. Guys, I did not even get a chance to tell you that you can access the 31 Days to Better Worship Keyboard Playing ebook inside the academy. So it's a real great deal. It's a steal. And basically I'm making it very easy for you to get better in your worship keys playing. So guys, I hope to see you inside the academy so that I can also answer your questions, such as I answered Gabriel's question in this video. And just a quick look at if there are any further questions. Jay says, thanks Sandra, what is the best piano VST you know? Well, I actually just used the best, the piano sounds inside the two favorite main stage templates that I use, which are Worship Essentials and Sunday Keys. So to know more about them, join me tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Melbourne time, where I will talk in depth about main stage templates like Worship Essentials and Sunday Keys. So no real piano VST necessarily. David's here and he says, thanks again. And David, I also really want to thank you for faithfully watching us in this video and these videos. So stay tuned, because I'm actually going to come right on again and record and answer more members' questions throughout the next hour or so. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. And thanks so much for watching.